All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 2022 EDC annual meeting. I'm Jonathan Holth, chairman of the EDC Board of Directors. Good to have you all here. Quite the setup we have here. You may have seen recently our beloved Vice President of Business Development, Brandon Baumbach, announced he's leaving the EDC, and when he did, Keith called me and said, we have an important decision. We can either replace Brandon right away, or we can get the screen that we've always dreamed of for the annual meeting. And I think you can see what decision was made. So, I've had the honor of serving as board chair since January of last year. In 2021, leaders and businesses in our community went above and beyond what we could have asked, especially coming out of a pandemic, and we are proud to celebrate those accomplishments today. There are a number of things that I really love about serving on this board, but I think above all else, the EDC works every day to make an impact in our community. And we get to see the results of this community's collaboration and positively impact people's lives. Over the past few years, our board and the EDC staff has made a concerted effort to be inclusive, to lift a hand up, and to focus on results rather than credit. As economic development has changed over time, so has the Grand Forks Region EDC. And Keith and the team have always worked to stay ahead of trends and put Grand Forks on the map for companies and families that are looking for a place to call home. I'd like to give a few special recognitions before we get going. Special welcome to our mayor, Brandon Bochensky. The mayor has been 100% hands-on since his first day in office and has done tremendous work this year, including providing leadership from the city to get Fufeng USA to our community. It's been exciting working with him to take Grand Forks to the next level. Also, if I miss anybody in my welcomes here, I'm going off the RSVP list, so I apologize in advance. But I would like to also welcome our city councilors in attendance, City Council President Dana Sandy, Vice President Jeannie Mock, and City Councilors Ken Veen, Danny Wagle, and Brett Weber. Welcome. Our county commissioners in attendance tonight, Dave Ingen, Bob Ross, Cynthia Peach, and Diane Knopf. Thank you for being here and for the work that you do. I know we have a number of legislators in attendance. Thank you to our legislative delegation. Thank you for your steadfast support of our region. A couple final welcomes. People at the table with me tonight, I'd like to give a special welcome to Colonel Jeremy Fields from the Grand Forks Air Force Base. And thank you to President Andrew Armacost from the University of North Dakota. Thanks for being here. I want to thank our board of directors and ex officios who really contribute to the work that we do. Our board of directors oversees the Grand Forks Region EDC operations, providing economic development strategy for the region, making project funding recommendations to the city's Growth Fund and Jobs Development Authority. My fellow board members, thank you for your service to our region. I also want to thank our advisory board, who provides input to the EDC's strategies and to reviewing local and state economic development initiatives. Their input helps guide the actions of the board of directors, so thank you to our advisory board. The Klaus Thiessen Impact Award recognizes outstanding businesses or individuals who make a positive impact on economic growth and prosperity in the Grand Forks region. It was renamed 4 years ago in honor of Klaus Thiessen, who retired as EDC president after 14 years of serving our community.
People making an impact in a community embody all kinds of characteristics.
Leadership.
Passion.
It takes vision.
Collaboration is everything.
All these great qualities end up being a symbol of trust. If you're touting this area and an organization wants to take the risk of moving to this area, there's got to be an element of trust.
The county, the city, the Chamber of Commerce, the Economic Development Corporation, the university, We came together, and a lot of that's because of Klaus Thiessen. He was the glue that brought everybody together, and you know what? We're still together, and that's our strength.
It just seemed a natural fit to say this should be the Klaus Thiessen Impact Award.
The recipient is someone who's already made a significant impact to the economic vitality of our community.
Someone that's a leader, someone that is investing in the community, and being here to help and figure out what is in the best interest of not only the community but the region.
And our vision is to enhance economic vitality and growth in the Grand Forks region. And we live out that vision by collaboration and hard work.
I think the encouragement comes from the results you get by volunteering, and with awards like the Klaus Thiessen Impact Award are probably more about the appreciation for efforts well done.
This is a high-level award that we get to bestow on people, the investors, the entrepreneurs, and I believe they will know what they've done and accomplished, and now they're being recognized for those efforts.
The award really is our way to show appreciation for them, and we hope it really honors them.
Very much appreciated, but absolutely humbling.
Most successful business people, they think about certainly how they can improve their business and grow their business, but they're also thinking about how to improve the community and the region that I live in.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to see so many people here. I think we all are starving for being out, being with people, and not having to wear masks. So again, thanks for everyone being here. As you can see by the intro video, Klaus Thiessen means a lot to me, and I'm so pleased to be up here today to deliver a recognition that is named after him. The EDC Impact Award recognizes outstanding businesses and individuals making a positive impact on economic growth and prosperity in the Grand Forks region. This honor recognizes a person who by his or her actions invests time and talent to improve and enhance the economic growth of the region. This year's honoree was selected by the EDC Board of Directors for being one of the strongest volunteer community leaders in the region, selflessly committed time and leadership to growing this region and creating a legacy not only in our region, but across the country with the impact they have made on the next generation. It is my pleasure to present this year's Klaus Thiessen Impact Award to Wes Rydell. Wes Rydell purchased the Grand Forks Rydell car dealership from his father in 1976. From this single store and the belief that profitability follows high volume and treating customers right, the Rydell organization has grown to over 70 stores. And now listen to this. In North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, Illinois, Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, California, Utah, Nevada, Missouri, and Oregon. It might have been easier to tell you the states they're not in. That gives you a little idea of how far-reaching the Rydell organization is. And I bet most people in this room had no idea. And that's just the way Wes Rydell likes it. Mr. Rydell is also CEO of the Rydell Company, an automotive dealership holding company formed in 1994. The Rydell Company provides opportunities for Rydell dealership employees to become dealer owners if they have the ability and the desire. Currently, most of the individual dealerships in the Rydell Group are owned by employees that have been developed internally. I have gotten to watch many, many people move on to have wildly successful dealerships through this arrangement, all the while being supported by the organization that Wes built. It's incredible. The Rydell philosophy of being customer-focused has evolved over the years and is exemplified by their vision statement: to be so effective that they are able to be helpful to others. In support of the vision, there are 5 areas Mr. Rydell believes are critical to business success: customer enthusiasm, employee satisfaction, financial performance, market penetration, and ongoing improvement. I had the good fortune of getting to work with Wes for 30-plus years through my position at Alaris. In my 37 years of banking, I would be hard-pressed to name another person or company that has accomplished so much, impacted so many people, and is recognized nationally for their excellence. Wes is a generous servant leader and we will never know all he has done for countless individuals and all from behind the scenes. One of my most memorable experiences working with Wes and his team during the 08-09 Great Recession. As you may recall, we weren't even sure if General Motors or Ford Motor Company were going to survive. Well, I got to watch Wes and his team not only weather the storm, but become an even stronger organization as a result of those challenges. Absolutely remarkable. Wes, we invite you to come up and accept this award from the EDC Board of Directors.
Well, Carl said I had to say a few words, and it'll probably be just a few words, but I want to thank everybody for this award. My wife asked me, how do you get to be nominated for this award? I said, I don't know, I think they draw straws or something. And I told Carl that as far as the economic development locally, I know we've done a lot with the university and a lot of buildings and stuff that we've done here, but I said most of our activity is not local, although it's interesting that many of these stores that he was talking about, the owners of them went to UND and have roots here and now own their own stores. He mentioned that we went through some tough small times together, but I can remember when that bank, before it was even Alaris, and Rydell's, before we were had a holding company that had stores in, I think it's 18 or 19 states. The bank was a substantial bank, but it wasn't anywhere near the capacity it is now. And of course, we weren't either, but we've actually grown together. The bank, part of the bank's growth is funding all those stores in all those states. We use that bank then and today. And we're very proud of that affiliation, and we've both grown together, and we're very proud of it. Our philosophy has always been that I came up with this, and now they all use it, but it's to be so effective we're able to be helpful to others. And the idea behind that was, if I learned anything in my 80 years of living, and it's this: most people would sign up, if you say, you can be happy the rest of your life if you sign up here, they'd sign up for being happy. Some people think they can get happy by drinking or getting a lot of money or whatever, but that doesn't necessarily work. But what does work, here's what I've learned. If you can be helpful to someone, you're automatically happy. You just can't help it. You can't even help an elderly person like me or Vivian across the street without feeling better. It's just automatic, right? Think about it. So our vision statement says, to be so effective that we're able to be helpful to others. And what that means is, if you want to be helpful to somebody, you've got to be effective at something or nobody will ask you for help. Does that make sense? So do the best you can and continue to do it. And if you do that, somebody will say, how do you do that? And then you'll have a chance to be helpful to them because you've been effective at what you do. And we've had a wonderful relationship with the bank, and we still will. And many of those relationships in those states are ongoing with the bank, which certainly adds to the economic development of this region. And you can probably, those of you know where we live. We live there on Belmont Road, and we're going to be there. That's it. We're Grand Forks people, even though we're snowbirds. snowflakes, as Vivian calls us. But we always come back. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Congratulations, Wes. Well deserved. Now we come to the part of the program where we get to hear from Keith and hear about some of the exciting things happening in the Grand Forks region.
In 2021, growth in the Grand Forks region was above and beyond. Fufang USA chose Grand Forks as their flagship location for a wet corn mill. This will be the largest single private investment in the history of our region. More history was made as we entered the world of cryptocurrency. Core Scientific, a data processing and mining company, expanded to Grand Forks last May. They booted up their $114 million facility, highlighting our region's robust electric infrastructure. Last August, the U.S. Air Force announced a new mission for the Grand Forks Air Force Base. The base will be one of the premier locations for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance for years to come. The new mission also means new growth for Grand Sky. The Department of Defense awarded Northrop Grumman a contract to repurpose Global Hawk drones for hypersonic missile testing. The program, called Sky Range, is another way our state is supporting a more secure future for our country. The University of North Dakota also set their sights above the clouds. They became the first university in the nation to partner with the U.S. Space Force. The Space Force faces some of the toughest challenges in engineering, science, and technology. Officials say they need our nation's brightest minds working to help tackle these problems, and UND was at the top of their list. And lastly, one of the biggest accomplishments of 2021 was the Career Impact Academy. Over 60 private businesses and dozens of individual donors and public entities came together and said, "We need this in our community." They proved it by contributing $10 million in just 70 days of fundraising. During the start of the pandemic, we proved we were resilient and rising. And now, our region's leaders and businesses have gone above and beyond to propel us into the future.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Carl. And thank you all for attending the 2022 EDC annual meeting. Such a great turnout. I hope we have enough chairs for all of you. So it's great to see all of you here today. Before I get going, I'd really like to recognize Wes and Vivian Rydell and the entire Rydell family for your tremendous leadership. And I'm really proud that we could recognize Wes today as the Klaus Thiessen EDC Impact Award. Many of you in this room know that Klaus had a tremendous impact on my life. And so this award has a special place in my heart. So I'm thrilled we could recognize Wes, and I know Klaus is very proud of that as well. So congratulations, Wes. Special welcome, Grand Forks Mayor Brandon Bachensky, UND President Annie Arnikas. You've both been at the helm for just about 2 years. You've both had a tremendous impact on your organization and the community and region as well, so thank you for being here. Special welcome to county commissioners, city councilors, state legislators. You've all played a tremendous leadership role in many of the opportunities that we're going to discuss today. A couple of another quick shout outs, Sean Kessel, Deputy Commerce Commissioner. I was on the RSVP list, I'm not sure, but if you are here, welcome. And then my Valley Prosperity Partnership partner in crime, Joe Raso. He's the Fargo-Moorhead Economic Development Corporation President. Thank you for driving up for the meeting here this afternoon. You know, I've been with the EDC for 16 years, and I worked for the City of Grand Forks for 12 years before that. So I've been paying attention for a little while, and I think you can all agree that we as a region have tremendous opportunity in front of us, and opportunities that we couldn't have imagined just a few years ago. And so our theme today of Above and Beyond, I think, truly hits the mark. When you consider the work of the EDC, we have three primary responsibilities: business development, workforce development, and marketing. Building businesses that bring new resources to our community, workforce attraction and retention, and communicating the value of doing those things in the Grand Forks region. We have other organizations on the front line of supporting other businesses such as retail, hospitality, and restaurants, And those are extremely important to our region, and they really contribute to our quality of life. Look no further to the organizations like the Chamber and Visit Greater Grand Forks. Thank you, Barry Wilford and Julie Rigg, for being here today and all that you do for our community. When the EDC talks about business development, we are talking about primary sector business development. Primary sector companies have two primary characteristics. Number one, they add value to a product or service, they make something, and they sell that product outside the region, and in doing so bring new resources into our region. This is my one opportunity every year to explain this focus, and our marketing team has reminded me repeatedly that I need to do more of this. So we're going to use one of our largest primary sector companies in the region to demonstrate how the primary sector brings new resources to our community. Ellen Wind Power, you know them. They make wind turbine blades. You've seen them in Grand Forks. You've likely seen them at the interchange near Thompson, and you've seen them on I-29 heading to a wind farm somewhere in the United States. Ellen Wind Power sells those blades all over the nation and all over the globe. And those international and national wind developers pay for those blades, and that money comes back to Grand Forks, new money in our region. And Ellen Wind Power then in turn uses those resources to pay wages, hire people, to pay local and state taxes, and to make purchases, procurement from companies in the region. I bet many of you here in the room. This is why we focus on the primary sector and why these companies bring new resources into the region to create opportunities for all. You know, any successful economic development program leverages strengths. It's not just the role of the EDC to help the region grow, it's to help the region grow in ways that are smart, sustainable, and leverage those strengths. I know a lot of headlines have been focused recently on some key attractions from outside of our region, Fufang USA and Core Scientific. We're extremely proud of those investments, and we'll talk about those a little bit later. But our economic development team is keen on investing in local companies as well. Consider startup companies like Sarah Horak's Real Good Cookies, who launched a new manufacturing line. Odra, they make street sweepers. They doubled their footprint and expanded their capacity. And assisting the new owners of Billy Brew Coffee, who added a new roastery and are selling their beans across the nation, coffee beans across the nation. Our business development team works every day to retain and grow our own primary sector companies across all sectors. And speaking of sectors, I'd like to talk about the sectors that we focus on in terms of supporting growth in our region. In light of today's theme, Above and Beyond, I think it's perfectly appropriate that we start with unmanned and autonomous systems. In fact, in light of the recent growth opportunities, maybe we should have chosen to infinity and beyond, given our expansion beyond our borders and into space. I think no secret, we had in the opening video in 2021, the University of North Dakota was the first university to ink a contract with the U.S. Space Force. My gosh, President Armakas, I don't know that I've seen anybody look happier than you are in this photo. Happy and proud, right? And rightfully so. Let's face it, we wouldn't be talking about UAS if it weren't for the John D. Odekard School of Aerospace Sciences leaning into this 20 years ago. And we wouldn't have the opportunity in front of us today if it weren't for the evolution of capabilities at both UND and Northland Community and Technical College. The Grand Forks Region EDC is a proud member of the Base Retention and Investment Committee, or BRIC, which is focused on expanding missions at the Grand Forks Air Force Base. With the recent announcements of the new communication mission and the Space Development Agency mission, the future of the Grand Forks Air Force Base has never been brighter. I need to thank Senators Hoeven and Kramer for their incredible work in this area in terms of supporting our bases, and for Grand Sky. We'll talk about that in just a bit. I want to also thank Vice Commander Colonel Fields for being here today. Also, but more importantly, thank you for you and your airmen and women's service. We're really proud to have you part of the community. Grand Sky, I talk about it every year. I'm going to keep talking about it. It's a key asset, in my mind, the most strategic economic development investment that we've had in the region in the last 25 years. I want to thank the North Dakota legislature in particular for continuing to invest in infrastructure that helps that development expand. Northrop Grumman will add facilities and jobs over the next 2 years as they take possession of all Block 20 and 30 Global Hawks, over 20 aircraft in all, and retrofit them for hypersonic missile testing. This is a long-term growth opportunity and fits exactly the vision of Grand Sky that community leaders envisioned years ago. General Atomics continues to grow their International Training Academy and testing capabilities as well. They'll see facility growth, a new hangar, classrooms, ground control station, and simulators. Have a little fun fact for you for General Atomics, excuse me, Dean. In August, General Atomics flew a Sky Guardian aircraft at 78.4 degrees north latitude for several hours. What does that mean? It's really far north. In fact, the furthest northern aircraft in the world during that flight. And that flight originated and ended at Grand Sky. Talk about going above and beyond. You know, and it's not just the quote-unquote bigs. We've seen companies like Eyesight Drone Services, Mobile Recon Systems, Aerial Robotics, Skyscopes, and First Eye expand and come to the region. Again, not just the bigs. We have a great ecosystem. And our UAS sector is performing. One of my favorite slides. There's no definition of UAS, so we get this information the old-fashioned way. We pick up the phone and call. So what do our calls tell us? They tell us that we have, and this isn't a complete survey, these are just the folks that responded to our calls, over 1,200 UAS-related jobs in the region, $71,000 annual salary, annual payroll contributions of $87 million, and private sector local procurement of $60 million. Private sector companies, most I've mentioned, purchased $60 million worth of goods and services from many companies in the region, and I would guess many of you here. This is why we work so hard to develop the UAS opportunities in our region. Not every region can boast that they are among the best at something. We are among the very best at UAS, and I would argue the very best. We've seen what can happen when we leverage our strengths when it comes to UAS. Another area of emerging strengths is technology-based businesses. UND's greater capacity in cybersecurity, national security, data science, and other exciting areas are creating new opportunities for business expansion. We've welcomed companies like Taylor-E, Airtonomy, KSI Data Sciences, Fenworks, Semaphore Scientific, and Sundog Mining over the last few years. And we were extremely proud to welcome Core Scientific to our community last year. They opened 2 data centers, and as the opening video indicated, a $114 million investment in our region. That's exciting. Finally, I want to recognize Mayor Brandon Brzezinski and the Jobs Development Authority for their vision in the tech space. First of all, for the creation of the Accelerate Grand Forks Loan Program. This program provides resources to early-stage companies that have demonstrated market traction, that have already supported the growth of tech companies in our region. Some of them I've already mentioned. And also, for the vision to redesign the former Grand Forks Herald Building into a downtown tech accelerator. It's a place where established companies will collaborate with earlier stage company and develop technology solutions for today's problems. The UND Center for Innovation will be a key partner that will ultimately develop and deliver the programming. So thank you for your partnership, Amy. Through a revision of the EDC Strategic Plan, we've identified 2 additional sectors that will work to grow and diversify our regional economy. Again, leveraging our regional strengths, we know this is a winning equation. The first area is biomedical. How can we not work to develop these opportunities with the UND School of Medicine and Health Sciences and the UND Biomedical Program? We've had success recruiting a couple companies early on. Safety Spec, which is developing industry-leading devices to detect, decontaminate, and verify cleanliness. Talk about timing. That's exactly what the world needs now. And Wound Exam, a company that's developed technology to examine skin condition and integrity in the healing process. We're fortunate to have the support of the North Dakota Bio Association in pursuit of growing companies in our region. I want to take just a moment, I know he's here today, to acknowledge Phil Giese. Most of you know Phil as a CEO of Edgewood Healthcare, and that's absolutely right. But what many people don't know, I think, is that Phil is leading an effort to develop the Senior Healthcare Innovation Consortium, or SHEIC. It's a little under the radar, and they just launched Tuesday, a very successful launch. And the goal of SHEIC is to have as many as 400 companies across the United States developing an innovation in the senior healthcare space. And because that consortium is focused and headquartered in Grand Forks, that would create a tremendous opportunity to attract companies to the region. So Phil, thank you for your efforts and your leadership. And finally, the EDC will strive to work even more effectively with the Energy and Environmental Research Center and the UND Collaborative Energy Center in pursuit of energy-focused company growth in the region. In addition to our new and emerging sectors, the EDC Strategic Plan honors and focuses on growth of our legacy sectors, manufacturing and agribusiness. As I mentioned, a big focus of the EDC is the retention of companies, and that doesn't just happen. We've made it a priority to meet with each of our client and member companies at least annually to understand their needs to better position them for success. We've seen growth of manufacturers like LM Wind Power, Cirrus Aircraft, PS Industries, Hood Packaging Corporation, and Steffes Corporation, and agribusiness companies like J.R. Simplot, Philadelphia Macaroni, and the North Dakota Mill and Elevator. And it's not just companies in Grand Forks. Consider Northern Tier Seed Company in Thompson. They've recently been referred to as a frequent flyer. Thank you, Chairman Weber. They've expanded so much. In fact, they've expanded so frequently and so much, I barely recognize the company I met 15 years ago. And our primary sector is performing. This is information, hard data that we get from job service every year. Over the last census period, over the last decade, job growth 24%, wage growth 39%. And when you put those two together, what do you have? In the last 10 years, our primary sector has gone from contributing $285 million to $495 million, an increase of 74%. Talk about new wealth creation. That's going above and beyond. As I mentioned earlier, we value and support primary sector company growth, and many of the companies that I mentioned have been in the region for some time, but they were new to Grand Forks at one time. When we invite new businesses to our region, we all benefit from increased opportunity. I'm going to stop now and focus on one of the companies that have dominated the headlines recently. This project will be the largest in my 16 years working at the EDC, and its benefits will be felt by the entire region.
When I think of the value that Fufang brings to the industry, to our region, I think of a few things. Success as a community in the future, population stability and growth, great jobs.
I feel I really recognize the value of something like this when it comes to you. Not every day does almost $1 billion facility want to be built into your community.
The ripple effects by having a new industry come into Grand Forks is wonderful because not everybody is going to live in the city of Grand Forks. Some are going to move out to rural communities. Some are going to live into the small towns.
We're just lifting up our community as one of the leading agribusiness communities in the entire nation. We have an opportunity to have 4 large mainstay crops that are in the state of North Dakota, all having value added to them in the city of Grand Forks.
Think of what it does for the other ancillary businesses that come along with this, be it our schools, our restaurants, our services.
Not only is the infrastructure build-out that's going to take place over the next 2 years going to help this project, it sets us up for many more projects to come. Our robust infrastructure doesn't stop here. We've got far more opportunity, and this sets the table that we can move quickly on future opportunities.
It creates the opportunity for our community to bring other companies that can coexist with a production facility like this that creates other value-added products.
It's great for economic development. It's a wonderful opportunity for our surrounding towns, counties, our state. It's a positive all the way around.
You don't get many shots out of a facility like this, like what Fufang USA is doing, and the potential growth that they're going to have with this facility.
Fufang brings that opportunity to the market in so many different ways. People, greater market opportunity, greater income levels, greater final products that can be sold into the market somewhere else. And I think all of those equate into a really successful community and region, and we can't let that go by.
And it's to my biggest desire that this facility is built in Grand Forks. It'll have a long-term play, it'll be here for many, many years, and have a positive attributes in many ways for Grand Forks.
So we've got a great opportunity to put Grand Forks on the map and the state of North Dakota, just to show the world that our state and our city is open for business, that we want that investment, that we're going to grow, and that we can support it.
Greetings. My name is Paul Sproul. I'm a local farmer in the area here. In 1993, I'm a first generation. My wife Susan and I decided we want to be farmers. So we started farming, but with that though, we also had a family. But no parent has an ugly child, and we've got 3 beautiful daughters, 3 great son-in-laws, and some great grandkids, so we're blessed. We're also blessed to be here in the Red River Valley. It's one of the best dry land production areas in the country, and we're able to grow a multitude of crops. We're not the I states, the I states being Iowa, Indiana, and Illinois, which are great states, but their primary crops is corn and soybeans. We do a lot more than that. But the 2 primary factors that leads North Dakota economy is our agriculture and our oil. Our community benefits from both of those, one being the crops that we produce, the oil and the natural gas. Because of these resources, Grand Forks EDC was able to present and compete with 25 other communities and able to work with Fufang, and Fufang ended up selecting Grand Forks. I was asked by the EDC when the choices were down to 4, which I knew nothing that this was going on. We're down to 4 sites. And I came in to talk about a mill corning plant to learn about it, and I presented why I thought our Grand Forks community would be a win-win for Fufang for this plant at the time. And then a few months later, we're down to 2 locations. Again, we had a meetings. I want to thank John Unkin and Dan Gorder and True North Equipment. You were phenomenal hosts for the groups when we had those meetings there. So my hat's off to what you did in your preparation in doing that. So they did select our community. And the team at the EDC, along with the rest of our community leaders, and a lot of you are on this room, if it wouldn't have been for you showcasing Grand Forks the way that you did, present the benefits, Fufang probably would have not selected Grand Forks. Actually, in my mind, I told this to Keith, when they selected Grand Forks, in my mind in business, it was a Super Bowl of a win for business. Now he's got to repeat that. I don't want to be a one-time. So having this corn plant in Grand Forks is huge. A farmer will benefit in many ways. That plant is going to utilize 25 million bushels a year starting out. And if it raises our bar by 40 cents on a basis, that's another $10 million to our economy. And that'll be repeated year after year after year. And I hear a little buzz that maybe they can go a lot more bushels down the road. But just think that they'll they'll process 70,000 bushels a day. And that to me is just a gift, but if you took the amount of corn they use, it only represents 4% of what we produce. So we have a lot of room. That's just North Dakota. That's not counting Minnesota. So we have a lot of room to grow here in that environment. So as you look at what has happened, this Fufang plant will have the same effect that the North Dakota State Mill did, or has had, and it's 100 years old today. American Crystal Sugar in East Grand Forks, it's 96 years old, and look at the effect that has had on our community. The other one is Simplot. It's been here for over 50 years, started out at Western Potato, and then J.R. Simplot bought it and made it a much better facility. So at the end of the deal, it's phenomenal for what's happened to our economy and our environment, and my hat's off to the EDC and all our city leaders that have done such a phenomenal job. Mayor, I like you, keep doing it. So I just want to thank you all and thank you for the opportunity.
Got a button in my coat. Hal Gershman gave me that advice years ago. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate you being here and saying some kind words. As Paul mentioned, he was extremely instrumental, as were many people that he mentioned, in Fufang USA selecting Grand Forks for their first North American plant. Paul, you stole my line, but when it was first announced, you leaned into me and said, "We just won the Super Bowl." I'm never going to forget that. This project hits all the economic development marks, hundreds of high-paying jobs, creating lots of opportunity for existing businesses, and a tremendous impact to farmers like Paul, as he just outlined. And this will also help every citizen in Grand Forks County through the increase of tax base. In their first year alone, Fufang USA will pay nearly $1 million in property tax on land that is currently generating $5,500. Those dollars will go to build our roads, support our schools, and city and county services. At full steam, Fufang USA will pay $6 million in property tax. Talk about new wealth creation. From $5,500 to $6 million. That is going above and beyond. I need to acknowledge, as Paul just did, the tremendous leadership of the mayor, City Council President Sandy, Grand Forks City Council, and the tremendous work really doesn't get nearly enough credit. Todd Phelan and the city staff, they've been put in countless hours and endured sort of legendary meetings and lots of difficult conversations, we'll just say. So thank you all for your tremendous leadership. And I do have to say that I don't think any of this would be possible with the early and ongoing support of the Grand Forks County Commission and the Grand Forks School Board. So thank you very much again for your support. As I mentioned, one of the tremendous benefits of this project are the hundreds of high-paying jobs that will be created, and that's where workforce comes in. You've heard me talk about over the last several years about how proud I am of the EDCs and our partners' work in workforce. We have programming today that just didn't exist 10 years ago, and most 5 years ago. And I think you can trace that right back to Becca Kruger joining the EDC. If you haven't already, look through the information on your table that outlines these accomplishments. Our biggest step forward in 2021, and we're going to continue to work on it, is the Career Impact Academy. And supporting the Career Impact Academy is a big focus of the EDC Strategic Plan. Sherry Elgin from Construction Engineers is one of the biggest champions. She served on the steering committee, she helped build the Northern Valley Career Expo, and she's committed to connecting students with high-paying careers in the region, so it's fair to say she's in the fight every day. Sherry's offered to say a few words about why she works so passionately to support the Career Impact Academy.
Thank you, Keith. I'm excited to be here to share a few thoughts on the Career Impact Academy with you today. My interest in a career technical facility started around 4 years ago when I toured the Bismarck Center Career Center. It was so neat to see the different hands-on programs that students were involved in, such as learning to fly, using a flight simulators, or building systems, a welding lab, engineering technology classes, all in a facility used by all the schools in the district. I thought to myself, a facility like this would be great for the students in Grand Forks. Technical education curriculum is currently in schools, but having a facility that provides the space needed for students to explore or accelerate career paths would be a game changer. So, in 2021, when Keith asked, I jumped at the opportunity to be a part of the CIA steering committee. It was formed to explore the idea of a CTE facility in the Grand Forks region. The pace of the committee changed when the state set monies aside for communities, aside for CTE facilities on a grant basis. The North Dakota Department of Career and Technical Education offered communities in North Dakota up to $10 million to establish or expand career centers. This was a one-time funding opportunity. The steering committee jumped into high gear to be able to complete the grant requirements in a very short time. Hiring and recruiting is and has been a large part of my career. Finding talent, as most of you are aware, is a constant challenge. On top of that, construction has not always been seen as glamorous industry. I can remember when I first started at Construction Engineers, I found that people looked at construction as a last chance position or something that they settled for. It totally surprised me, since construction touches the quality of our lives every day and is a vital part of our economy. Our skilled workforce is retiring, and there's a shortage of new workers coming into the trades. We found that to build our workforce, we needed to get students and parents to see that the trades as a viable, successful career path. To reach students, we have participated in the Northern Valley Career Expo as part of the construction zone for several years. We provide job shadows for students and do career presentations in schools throughout the region to talk about the industry in our registered apprenticeship program. Through this, we've been able to open eyes to the fact that construction is a high-demand occupation where you can earn strong wages and have a career path. Having a building trades program as part of the CIA will not only let students explore the trades, it is teaching lifelong skills and will accelerate students into our registered apprenticeship program if they wish to continue in construction as a career path. As a member of the steering committee, I was part of a team that visited a few career centers in Ohio and South Dakota. A key piece of the success of the programs at the centers were the partnerships with industry. In Ohio, one of the centers partnered with a hospital, where the chief medical officer would visit the classes to share his story and journey from starting as a patient transport aide, unsure of what he wanted to do, to his current position. They stated how impactful this interaction was with the students. They also offered internships and worked with the center so the curriculum was meeting their workforce needs. This is what I see for the CIA in the Grand Forks region. partnerships between industry and the school district to provide learning career opportunities for students and a jumpstart for industry to help meet their workforce needs. The CII will also have space available to retrain or upscale the current workforce. As people who know me, I really believe in giving credit where credit is due. So I really want to personally thank the EDC for their leadership role in making the CIA a reality. This EDC envisioned the benefit of a CTE center and put a steering committee together. The steering committee consisted of community, education, and industry partners. Shortly after our first meeting, the state grant was announced. Thank goodness we had Becca and Eric. They took the team and they moved us into high gear. And it was exciting to watch the passion and the commitment that everyone had working to submit a thorough grant. I'm unable to name everyone, but many advocates contributed their time and talents to the successful grant application. A large part of the grant process was fundraising. Each community was eligible up to $10 million in funds. The dollars were a one-to-one match. It's hard to believe that Keith actually didn't lose his voice by mid-December with all the conversations he had. I'll be honest, I am not a huge fundraiser. I can talk to people all day, but to ask actually for money is not easy, but wow, I was impressed. I just have to say that. So many of you in the room said yes when asked. So thank you for your commitment to our future workforce, to industry, and to the city of Grand Forks. I hope you all take the opportunity to get involved and support the CIA. Some ways you can get involved is by encouraging students to explore different careers, reach out to participate as a member, a mentor, or an advisor once it opens, and really just to share your career stories with others. Wes, when you were talking earlier today, I thought to myself, what a great example you would be to share your story with some of the young people today, so they can see, it's not always a straight path. Sometimes it's even a little crooked path, but you don't know what you know until you explore and you look. Again, I just really want to thank the EDC for taking the lead on the Career Impact Academy. This truly is a win for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. You've been a champion of the Career Impact Academy. I think before it was a twinkle in anyone's eye. You may have been the first to volunteer to serve on the steering committee, so thank you for your leadership and your passion. I've said it many times, I've never had a more rewarding experience working for the EDC, and I've never seen the community come together so effectively to seize an opportunity. My heart is just filled with gratitude. Let's start with Governor Burgum and the North Dakota Legislature. We wouldn't be talking about the Career Impact Academy if it wouldn't be for the Career Impact Academy or for this Career Technical Education match funding. I want to thank them for challenging us and the rest of the state to invest in our future. I need to recognize the Career Impact Academy Steering Committee. There are too many to mention, but they're up on the screen, so hopefully that can stay up there for just a little bit. But I do want to recognize Eric Ripley and Becca Kruger, who massively co-chaired the steering committee. I'm going to brag on Becca just a little bit, but I do want to mention Eric Ripley was a true leader among leaders in that group. Current technical education is his passion, and it was evident throughout the entire process. And I also, keep that screen up there, please. I also want to recognize somebody who doesn't get nearly enough credit, the face behind the keyboard, if you will. I can't see you, but I think you're out in that general direction. Tanya Schleicher, the grant writer for the Grand Forks Public School System. Tanya took all the work of the steering committee and all the various working groups and pulled it into a compelling grant application, over 200 pages in all. And I'm going to talk about the success of that in a little bit, and it was great work. So thank you, Tanya, for all your support. Thanks for being part of the team. As Sherry mentioned, fundraising got a lot of the attention. I suppose rightfully so. That's what everybody likes to see. But I never miss an opportunity to say that the group behind that was just on the screen, it took 7 months of work before anybody had the opportunity to sit across the table and ask a company for a single dollar. 42 volunteers, 2,200 hours, 6 different working groups. They did all the work to put us in position to make that ask. So it was a tremendous community effort. I'm very proud of that, and I'm very pleased that I had the opportunity to participate in that. A big thank you to the City of Grand Forks County, Grand Forks Economic Development Corporation Board of Directors, Chamber Board of Directors, and the Grand Forks Public School Board, who will ultimately own and run the facility Each one of these public and civic organizations made an investment, a financial commitment to set the tone for the entire campaign. We're fortunate to have 3 individual families, 4 foundations, and 68 individual businesses that all stood up and said, we need this in our community. I want to invest to make this happen. There is no other application across the state that can boast our level of public and private investment. We really went above and beyond. You all went above and beyond, and your efforts have paid off. As announced last month, Grand Forks was awarded $10 million, the maximum grant amount from the state of North Dakota. Now that is absolutely a reason to celebrate. Thank you very much. I do, though, have to admit that I'm a little bit disappointed, and I want to share that with you today. When we met our goal of $10 million in early December, the amount that we needed to request a full $10 million from the state of North Dakota, I set a new personal goal. It was mine, not the steering committee. It was my personal goal of $11 million. And I'm just a little disappointed to share with you all that we were only able, where's the number? Thank you. A little sad to report that we were only able to raise $10,995,850. So my apologies. Yeah, Todd? Todd Forkel, new All-True CEO. I am a little busy. Maybe an egg roll and a glass of wine later. It's coming.
This is purely spontaneous and unrehearsed.
As we'll demonstrate here repeatedly.
Definitely unrehearsed. As you know, I'm new to this community, and one of the big reasons my family and I were so drawn and attracted to this community is what we have in here today. This spirit of can-do attitude, let's get it done. And again, we at All True Health System would like to close that gap and add to our anchor gift the $4,150.
Thank you, Todd. It's so very generous. Wait here. It's so very generous, and it's so unexpected.
Unrehearsed.
Thank you, Todd. Bridget, can you get this to the bank quickly? Todd, thanks for being a good sport. Another main component of our workforce development strategy, in this case workforce attraction, is Greater Grand Forks Way Cooler Than You Think, or Cooler. Cooler started out as a website and social media to help introduce people not living in Grand Forks to the value of living and working here. It's grown to include a relocation guide, blogs, and curated stories about cool and exciting things that are happening here. We have a fun story with newer, but I think familiar faces that perfectly demonstrates how Cooler is having an impact on recruiting people from outside the region to work here.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, you clean up well. Hello? Hi, everybody. We'd like to make introductions first. You're right, Keith, you can't see anybody because of the stage lights, and I don't have my glasses on, so.
I think we're supposed to be sitting now.
Okay, we're gonna sit.
Yep. Nice.
That is lovely. Sorry I hit your leg.
That's okay.
So I'd like to introduce everyone to Dr. Laura Link, a professor in the College of Education over at the University of North Dakota.
Representing Armacost, President Armacost, absolutely. Go Hawk. And I would also like to introduce Dr. Link, Provost of UND.
Thank you. So we're up here without notes, without a script. There's nothing on the teleprompter, and that's because when you tell only the facts and just the facts, you don't need a script. You can repeat just the facts over and over again. So I'm going to start my story, if you don't mind, back in 1883. So when I was born in 1883, coincidentally, that was the founding of a university. Wait, I wasn't born in 1880. All right. So the story really begins about 10 years ago. So about 10 years ago, I, as a result of a couple unrelated business trips, I happened to come through Fargo and spend a couple days in Fargo. And on an unrelated trip, I got to spend a couple days right here in Grand Forks. This was around 2013, give or take, 9 or 10 years ago. Actually stayed in the Alara Center, in the Canada Inn, right over there.
That's right. You went down that slide.
I did not go down the slide.
Did go down.
Nevertheless, great visits. They were business trips, but got to interact with a lot of people on those trips, meet a lot of folks in North Dakota, in Fargo, in Grand Forks. And I remember after those trips, again, around sometime, maybe summer or whenever it was in 2013, give or take, I was in the backyard grilling. And I think we were having cheeseburgers. And I said, over the smoke rising from a delicious meal that I was grilling.
No.
No, yes, that was true.
No, I was cooking.
You were making hot dish.
Definitely not, but definitely not. But I know it was a home-cooked meal that night. I was cooking.
I'm pretty sure I was grilling. And in the backyard, amongst the billows of smoke, Laura and I were chatting, and I was just sharing, hey, how were your trips, that sort of thing. And I said to Laura, I said, they were actually great, had a great time, and you know what, the people were great. Really was just charmed by the culture, the people, just everything. It was a good vibe. And I said to Laura, I said,
if you were telling me all that, how did you have time to grill and give me that whole story? Because I think I was in the kitchen cooking.
Yeah, but the window was open, and we were communicating via an open window.
No, I definitely was cooking that night.
I'm pretty sure that's why you were complaining about the smoke from the grill getting in the house. I'm sure that's true. Nevertheless, I said, hey, Laura, North Dakota was an interesting place. I don't know what the future is ever going to hold, but if there was ever an opportunity to get up to North Dakota, we should at least take a look at it.
Yeah, that's true. You did say that. You weren't grilling, but that was true.
Okay. One fact. That was true. That's good. Anyway, fast forward. We were, our lives were busy and we're doing other things. And then about a year and a half ago, a job ad came across my desk. It turned out that the University of North Dakota was looking for something called a provost. And I printed the ad. And you know what that means?
That does. That means it's serious. If you hit print and it was in color, super serious.
Yeah, so all the signals were there, right? Because if I print the ad and bring it home, then it's a thing.
It's a big
right?
deal.
So again, it was another, I don't know what time of year, summer, it doesn't matter, but I was definitely grilling. I was definitely in the backyard.
All summer.
Yes, all summer.
All year.
So I was grilling in the backyard, and I said, Laura, you're not going to believe this, but do you remember that conversation we had, 8-9 years ago after I'd visited Fargo and Grand Forks? I said, well, you're not going to believe it, but the University of North Dakota is looking for a provost.
True.
And so I said, what do you want to do about this?
And I said, investigate it.
So we did. I sent in my CV, and just time goes by, and skipping forward a little bit, because Keith said we only had 40 minutes for this. Skipping ahead just a little bit, lo and behold, University of North Dakota called and told me that they'd like to offer me an interview. And so then it suddenly became a little bit more real, right?
More serious.
So we had to get our research hats on and figure out what it means to live in this place called Grand Forks. So I started doing some detective work, as you will recall.
You did.
And, like any good researcher in the academy, I got on Wikipedia, and I Googled, and Alta Vista'd and asked Jeeved and all the things that you do.
Born in 1883.
Right, and that's when I discovered I was born in 1883. And one of the first things I discovered, absolutely true, was that the Department of Atmospheric Sciences has a camera on all the time. Are you aware of this? Right, that any time you can get a live stream of just what's happening, like at that, whatever that intersection is over there. Anytime, day or night, just there's always like 8 people watching. Who are those 8 people? I don't know, but I was one of them. I would be in my office and I would just get the live stream because, you can learn a lot just by watching an intersection, right?
That's what you say. I mean, there would be lots of just long periods of silence in the house, and I didn't quite know what was going on at the time.
Well, very exciting things were going on because I was learning a lot about the traffic patterns in Grand Forks. We also discovered that the good folks at UND, the students there, would do a daily weather report.
That's true.
Well, if you're thinking about moving to North Dakota and Grand Forks, weather becomes an interesting discussion topic around the dinner table. So
the dinner table, notice, was not near a grill.
We weren't
I was
eating
definitely
outside.
Cooking.
I brought the cheeseburgers in. Nevertheless, there we were, and we started watching the daily weather reports put out by the students at UND, learned a whole lot that way as well. But then something very interesting happened. I got on YouTube, and I looked up, just what do? You type in Grand Forks living, Grand Forks, what do you do there? And videos started popping up, and the first video I watched was this video with the hashtag Grand Forks is cooler.
Way cooler.
And there was this video hosted by, I want to say, I'm going to embarrass myself, but I think his name is Colin. Does that sound right? Becca.
Colin? Okay.
Oh, got it right.
Yay.
And it was about the phrases you need to know if you are moving to Grand Forks. And so that's where we discovered hot dish.
Oh, yeah.
We discovered sieve.
Gonna sneak right by ya.
Gonna sneak right by ya. Yeah. And in the dead of winter, it's just a little chilly, right? Yeah. So I watched that video. It was hysterical. So while I was watching on an iPad outside, while I'm sure I was grilling something, and I screamed, Laura, come here, quick, you got to see something. And she came, and we watched the video. She was hysterical. I was hysterical. So we started seeing other videos like this, and indeed, there was a whole series of videos produced as part of the Grand Forks is Cooler campaign. And we found them just amazing and charming. And a night or two later, whenever it was, I'm sure I was not grilling, but we sat around the dinner table again with our kids. This is actually true. And we set up an iPad, and there are the kids, and there's Laura and me, and we just started watching the videos and laughing and having a good time. And one of the things that struck me in watching those videos is that the charm and the humor and just the kind of spirit captured in those videos really did match my recollection of my experiences years ago, having spent some time in Fargo and in Grand Forks.
This is true.
Yeah.
And it's not experiences I've had. I grew up in Miami, Florida, so there was, just a climate difference. For sure. And Mother Nature seemed like she could be a little naughtier here in Grand Forks. But and this year in particular, she had a sense of humor, and she definitely went above and beyond, I feel, in our area. But so there was, just the natural reservations you might have just as an outsider looking in. But what those videos did for us, as Eric said, was, it's a really clever, warm, smart, inviting community. And so we're super glad that they were there and that we didn't allow Grand Forks to sneak right by us. It is a little chilly, but that's okay.
Absolutely right. We know we have to get off the stage, but thanks for letting us share this story. We think so much of this community. It's such a great place to live and to grow and to work and to learn and to do business. We're so proud to be here. Hey, Grand Forks is a cool place.
And we
Thank you.
better let you go.
Better let you go.
Thank you, Laura and Eric. I knew that was going to be fun, but that was even cooler than I thought. It's a great example of how having an online presence and telling our story and working together to amplify what's cool about the region can be a real game changer. You know, all the workforce programming that's been developed, Northern Valley Career Expo, Intern Grand Forks, Career Conversations, Career Impact Academy, way cooler than you think, Accelerate the Industry, and the quality of life investments that have been developed and are being developed, they're working. Grand Forks is growing. Over the last census period, Grand Forks has grown 12%. And you know what's driving that? The growth of young professionals. This is one of my favorite statistics, one of my favorite slides. Grand Forks, ages 25 to 39 over the last decade has grown 24%. And that's compared to the national average of 9.6%. That's 2.5 times. Why is that important? Young people attract other young people. It speaks to vibrancy, as opposed to somebody like me who rushes home to make sure they can get Wheel of Fortune on time. It fuels company growth. Companies need talent. And it supports our schools. It's no secret that this demographic is more likely to have school-age children. Again, this is one of my favorite statistics, one of the things I'm most proud of about this region over the last decade. But being proud of what we've accomplished doesn't mean we've won the race. As a matter of fact, workforce is a harder conversation today than it's ever been. Everyone in this room knows that. As I mentioned, we didn't have programming that didn't exist. We didn't have programming that existed 5 years ago. I didn't say that well at all. That's played a key role in what we've experienced, but we can and must do more. Throughout this year, we'll be holding conversations with EDC members and other employers about what you need from us to help solve your workforce challenges. We'll look to add resources to our workforce development efforts to make those changes. And those additional resources will help us add additional programming. We'll pursue additional funding and establish a more robust workforce development strategy for the region. Please, again, if you haven't, check out the information at your table. We hope to partner with many of you in this room today to take this next and important step. You know, as I'm getting near the end, I get an opportunity to stand up here every year and talk about why I'm so excited about the work of the EDC and about the future of the region. But I'd like to take just a quick opportunity to talk about the team that makes it happen. Our theme, Above and Beyond, doesn't just apply to projects, initiatives, and opportunities. EDC staff had a year that went above and beyond as well. Let's start with Becca Kruger. Since we just finished talking about workforce, I think that's perfectly appropriate. Becca is the EDC's Director of Workforce Development, and she's been with the EDC for 5 years. Becca was my first hire, and I think I set the bar pretty high there. Becca was recognized as a top 40 professional under 40 by Prairie Business Magazine. She and others were recognized by the governor and received the 21st Century Workforce Award for Intern Grand Forks, the Cooler Blog, and Welcoming and Relocation Guide. And she's making a name on the national stage as well. Becca was appointed to the International Economic Development Council Young Professional Committee. Let's not forget that she successfully co-chaired the Career Impact Academy. Becca, thank you for a great year. Stephanie Kruger is our marketing and communication. Oh, Stephanie Kruger. My apologies to both of you. I'm not sure who I insulted there. Stephanie Flieger, EDC's marketing and communications manager. Been with the EDC almost 2 years. First things first, she planned and executed this entire annual meeting. She had absolutely everything under control except my anxiety. Her biggest accomplishment in 2021 was leading the complete revision and launch of the EDC's website. So when you think about it, Stephanie went from what is it we do here in August of 2020 to launching a new website that's focused on communicating the value in investing in the region. If you haven't, you need to check it out. It's beautiful and functional, and it communicates why Grand Forks is a great place to invest. I've taken calls from other EDC directors that want to replicate it, which is a huge compliment to Stephanie's talent. Thank you, Stephanie. See if I can get the names right from here on out. Bridget West, Operations Specialist. She's been with the EDC for about 1.5 years now. In a meeting recently, Bridget described herself as the person who does what nobody else wants to do. It's a little bit funny and a little bit true. Bridget is in charge of our data collection, our metrics, and how we communicate that to you. She runs our project management system, and she's working on a new customer relationship management system to help us do that even better. And finally, we're really excited for Bridget. She started, hold it. And finally, she started graduate school at UND this year. Now you can clap. Amy Lund, every year she insists that I say it, we are not related. Amy's been with the EDC for 6 years, and she's our finance coordinator. She's in charge of our corporate and financial reporting. At the end of the day, it's her job to keep me out of trouble. So far, so good. And our newest addition to the team, Ron Ahlstrom. He's been with the EDC just under 7 weeks, so he's completely up to speed. Ron recently graduated, maybe that's a good word, retired from the Grand Forks Air Force Base after 26 years of service and 14 overseas tours. And he's the only EDC staff member to ever jump out of a plane. First of all, Ron, thank you for your service to our country. And second, we're really proud and happy that you joined the EDC. I want to tell you a quick story about Ron. Well, it's kind of about Ron. When I first announced that we were going to be hiring Ron, our staff members had the typical curiosity questions, and one of those questions came from Stephanie. Stephanie asked, how old is Ron? Well, I really didn't know, but I guessed, and it turns out I was pretty close. And I'm just going to say that Ron's just a little older than the average EDC employee. Upon learning that, Stephanie said, oh, now Keith will have a friend. Ron, I'm really sorry, but I guess that's going to have to fall under other duties as a sign. Thank you, Ron. Thanks for being a good sport about this. You know it was coming. And finally, Brandon Baumbach. Brandon is our business development director, at least for the next 8 days. He's been with the EDC for 6 years, had a great year. Brandon was recognized by Governor Burgum as the Economic Developer of the Year and landing the Economic Development Project of the Year Core Scientific. Brandon's talents have been recognized on the national stage as well. He was appointed to the Mid-America Economic Development Corporation's Board of Directors. And let's not forget, he led the EDC's efforts that resulted in Fufang USA choosing Grand Forks for their first North American plant. And we hope to celebrate that as the project of the year in a few years. So thank you, Brandon. So I have to say a couple more words about Brandon. As you know, he's going to be leaving the Economic Development Corporation at the end of this week for an opportunity with the Grand Forks Public School Board, Grand Forks Public Schools, to be their business manager. And in a related story, Dr. Brenner is no longer an ex officio board member of the EDC. Terry, we're kidding. Obviously, we love you. If we were going to act that way, no one from the University of North Dakota would ever speak to me again. I think all staff members but one came immediately from the university. So Terry, we love you, and Dr. Armacost, I'm really sorry. So in all seriousness, it's a huge understatement to say that I've really enjoyed working with Brandon for the last 6 years. He's been a real asset to the EDC. He's made us a better organization, and he's made me a better CEO. So please help me thank him for his tremendous service to the Economic Development Corporation and wish him well in this next chapter. Now, I didn't know you were going to clap after every single one, so I was going to ask you to clap for the whole team, but maybe we'll move on. So thank you for your support of the EDC. These people really make it happen. Now I am getting to the end. Before I close, I want to really thank the EDC Board of Directors for their passion and their never-satisfied approach to growing the region and economic development. I've covered a lot of ground here today, and the region has covered a lot of ground over the last several years. And we have opportunity in front of us that we just couldn't have imagined even a few short years ago. I moved to Grand Forks 35 years ago as a know-it-all 21-year-old. Do the math, it checks out. Again, I've been paying attention for a while, and it just seems like we're firing on all cylinders. But that has not always been the case. I've talked about headwinds in the past, and we've more than proven our resiliency. But now is the time to focus on our future. At this point in time, I'm very excited to see opportunity in front of us and the leadership rallying around to propel us forward. It takes strong leaders to push forward, in difficult times to overcome adversity, and in good times to avoid complacency. We have those leaders in place today. Some have formal positions, mayor, president, counselor, commissioner, legislator, but most do not. I consider you all in this room a leader. You are investing in the region. You are ambassadors of the EDC vision and mission by promoting it, and you expect and want growth. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but I need to caution us all to not take this tremendous momentum for granted. We need to ask ourselves, do we want to grow? Will we welcome business investment and new opportunity to the region? Do we truly want to go above and beyond? Looking out at all of you here today, I know the answers to those questions are yes. Please continue to be a leader. Stand up, lend your voice, so the answer is always yes. Thank you for coming. Enjoy your afternoon.
Thank you, Keith. Better button my coat in case Hal's in the audience here. Thank you all for joining us in our celebration today. I think you can tell by the comments that we are truly a region that's gone above and beyond, thanks in no small part to all of your contributions. That concludes our program today. Please stay around for some complimentary appetizers and beverages. Have a great night. Thanks.